Hello, Silver Creek families. It's Miss Nelson, and I'm here to read you one of my favorite books. It's a series of books. This one is The Boys Start the War by Phyllis Reynolds Naylor, and she has 6 books in this series. When I taught 4th grade, we used to refer to these as the Boys Against the Girls series. So, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and start with Chapter 1. Chapter 1, The Aliens. The island is sinking. Wally studied the rivers of yellow that began streaming out from the middle. Sandbags, sandbags, he cried, lifting his waffle up at the edges with his fork. First one side, then the other. If he made a little cut in each corner, the hot syrup traveled from one square to the next. But if he poured the syrup directly over the pat of butter sitting like an island in the middle of his breakfast, the island grew smaller and smaller as the butter melted until finally, "Hey guys, they're coming, they're coming!" The back door banged and Wally jumped. Jake and Josh came tumbling into the kitchen, followed by 7-year-old Peter. "Who's coming?" asked Wally. "The new guys over at the Benson's house," Jake said. Jake grabbed his field glasses from the shelf where his mother kept them after she finished her bird watching for the morning. "Come on guys, let's go." Feet pounded on the stairs and Wally knew that his brothers were headed for the trap door in the attic ceiling and the small balcony on top of the house, the Widow's Walk it was called, where they could see out over the whole town practically. He sighed, picked up his plate and fork, and went up the first flight of stairs to the bedrooms, then the second flight of stairs to the attic. He would never understand why his 2 older brothers were always in such a rush. Sooner or later they would find out whether the 3 new boys in that new family were their own ages or not. So why the hurry? Wally felt that you should spend the last week of summer vacation as lazily as possible, and now he couldn't even enjoy his waffle in peace. Yesterday, Josh had been sitting under a tree sketching Martians, or what he thought Martians would look like. Jake had been figuring out what they would all do on Halloween, and Wally and Peter had been lying in the grass, watching ants crawling in and out of a rotten apple. Exactly the kind of ways you expected to spend a summer day. Peter was the only one in the family who liked to study things like Wally did. They both had brown hair and blue eyes and thick, sturdy hands like their fathers. Josh and Jake, however, were string bean skinny, with skin tanned by the first week of June. Jake already had the stepladder in place as Josh climbed to the top and pushed open the trapdoor. Blue skies shone through the square opening as a shower of pigeon droppings rained down on them. One piece landed on Wally's waffle. Gross. One gray-white blob of digested worms and bugs. Wally stared helplessly at his plate and then set it on the floor and followed his brothers to the balcony above. He sat down in one corner and watched as Jake inched forward on his stomach, field glasses in hand, until he was as close to the railing as he could get. The wind whipped at Wally's shirt, but it was a warm, dry wind that spelled September. Why are they just sitting there? Jake wondered, out loud, holding the glasses steady as he stared across the river. Wally squinted towards the house, studying the car in the driveway at the house at the end of Island Avenue. The large piece of land in the middle of Buckman was not really an island, because water surrounded only 3 sides of it. But people still called it the island. If you were coming in from the east, you entered Buckman on Island Avenue and kept going until you were out on the very tip. And then you crossed the bridge over into the business district. You might not even have noticed that the river on your right was then the same as the river on your left. It simply looped around at the end of the island. "Okay, gosh, guys, the door's opening. Here they come," said Jake. "How old are they, said Josh. "How old are they?" Wally hoped there'd be friends for each of them. An 11-year-old for the twins, a 9-year-old for him, and a 7-year-old for Peter. The family that had moved away out of the house on the other side of the river, who had left West Virginia to go to Georgia, had 5 boys of all ages. And they had been the best friends the Hapfords had ever had. "Well, say something," said Peter, when Jake didn't answer. "Are they aliens or what?" Wait, I can see. Okay, there's the father. Wait, now someone's getting out of the back doors. A guy. about 12, I would say about 12 years old. Wait, woohoo, said Josh. No, wait a minute. It's a girl. No, a boy. Nope, it's a girl. She just took off her ball cap. A girl? Wally and Josh stared at each other. Who said anything about girls? Josh took the field glasses next. He sat with his elbows propped on his knees, staring across the river. No one else is getting out. Oh, wait, now the other door's opening. It's the mother. Okay, here come the rest. It's another girl. 2 girls, said Jake. Wally thoughtfully bit his lip. Oh, this was serious. He grabbed the field glasses himself. It's my turn, guys, he said. At the tip of the island, a man and woman stood looking up at the old house. Wally could see a tall girl behind them, leaning against a tree and holding a baseball cap in her hand. A smaller girl was running down to the river. Another leg emerged from the back seat of the car. A sneakered foot, faded jeans, a knee, a thigh, and then the last member of the new family got out and stretched. It's another girl, said Wally, disbelieving, and handed the field glasses back to Josh. Nobody could speak for almost a minute. Well, I guess they are aliens, all right, said Josh. 3 kids in one family, and they're all girls, Jake cried incredulously. I thought Mrs. Benson told Mom they had rented their house to a family with 3 boys. Wally tried to remember exactly what she said. Wait a minute. Wait. She said she thought there were 3 kids in the family. And that maybe we would still have enough to play baseball. I guess I just thought she meant boys. Wally's shoulders slumped. For years, ever since he could remember, the Hatfords and Benson boys had gotten together every afternoon, rain or shine, to shoot basketball, fish, swim, play kick the can, camp out near Smuggler's Cove, climb Nob Hill, explore the old coal mine, or just lie on their backs in the grass and talk. More than that, with the 5 Benson boys, the Hatford brothers regularly won first place in the costume contest at Halloween. One year, they had each dressed up like some of the teachers at school. Another year, they had been dominoes. And a third year, they chained themselves together like a prison gang. With the 9 of them, they had their own baseball team, and every May, they played a team from Grafton. They had even started their own band. Nothing was ever going to be the same again. Wally stared out over the hills that dipped and rose like a roller coaster all around Buckman. The steeples of the United Methodist Church and the college chapel peeped up over the tops of the trees surrounding the courthouse, and the shiny horseshoe of a river curved around the island. It was a wonderful old town, but any time he and his brothers walked over the swinging bridge now, they would find 3 girls in the last house on Island Avenue, not the friends they had known all their lives. We just figured it would be a family of boys, that's all, he said at last. Well, we figured wrong, said Josh. For a long while, there was not another sound from the widow's walk. Finally, Jake broke the silence. I know what we can do. Let's burn the bridge. Wait, what? Said Wally. Let's just go down there some night and burn the footbridge, said Jake. Then the girls couldn't get over to our side of the river. I mean, not here anyway. They'd have to cross the road bridge and get to the school the long way around. Don't be ridiculous, said Josh. Dad would be so angry at us. We don't have to burn the bridge. We'll just never invite him over here, said Wally. Nope, that's not enough, said Jake. We won't have anything to do with him, offered his twin, whose arms and legs were as long and spidery as Jake's. Nope, it's not enough, said Jake. Well, what do you want to do then? Vaporize them? Asked Peter, getting right to the point. Jake sat with his lips pressed hard together. Wally could almost see currents connecting in his brain. Jake was the ringleader, the planner. He usually got his way. Hey guys, do you remember the movie we once saw? You know, The Gang from Reno? Yeah, said Josh and Wally. No, said Peter. It was about the village up in the mountains, Jake said. A motorcycle gang from Reno comes in and takes over, but the villagers finally drive them out just by making them miserable. That's what we've got to do. We got to make the new people miserable. Wally leaned against the railing and studied Jake. It sounded pretty awful, even talking about it. How do you know that the Bensels will move back if we do? Because they weren't sure they'd like Georgia in the first place. So they're only renting out their house instead of selling it. If they have trouble keeping renters, they just might give up and move back. You know, they'd rather live here than there. Anybody would rather live here. We're just gonna help them make up their minds, that's all. But how are we gonna make the new family miserable? Asked Josh. And they all turned to Wally. This always happened. Wally got involved whether he wanted to or not. He always said the first thing that came to his head, and that's why his brothers always asked him. Come on, think, Wally, think, said Jace. Jake, think of the most horrible, terrible, disgusting thing in the whole wide world. Wally tried. He wondered if there was anything more awful or disgusting than pigeon poop. Pigeon poop on a waffle. Okay, let me think. I've got it. Dead fish, he said. Jake and Josh looked at each other. That's it, said Josh. We could dump them on the bank over on their side of the river, and the family will think the river's polluted. Ooh, we'll not dump everything dead we can find, and they'll be afraid to swim or fish or anything, said Jake. All right, guys, start collecting all the dead stuff you can and put it in a bag in the garage. Great idea, Wally. Oh boy, cried Josh, the war is on. Wow, said Peter. Wally blinked. How did this happen? What had become of his wonderful day? Only a few minutes ago, he'd been peacefully planning to float a waffle box down the river and see if it'd make the curve at the end of Island Avenue and come back up the other side. Then he was going to climb to the top of the courthouse to see if there really were bats up there the way Josh said there was. And after that, he was going to jump from the largest branch of the sycamore into the river. And maybe he would have even gone out to the cemetery after dark just to say he'd been. He waited his turn at the trap door and slowly climbed down the ladder to the attic below. He picked up his plate, went down to the kitchen, scrunched up the empty waffle box and his waffle along with it, and then with a big sigh, he threw them both in the trash can. All right, more to come tomorrow. Chapter 2 is called Burial at Sea. I'll see you tomorrow.